Welcome, traveler. This is Moira. Today I bring Lewin's disturbing account in which he noticed strange behavior in his own reflection. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like the content to ensure more stories in the future. My name is Lewin, and until a few months ago, a mirror to me was just a piece of glass handing back my crumpled face. I was in a small countryside city for a mandatory company course. 3 whole days of handouts and weak coffee. I picked the cheapest inn, an old house remodeled, wooden floor that creaks, long corridors, and a permanent smell of wax. In my room, number 12, there was a tall mirror with a dark frame leaning against the wall opposite the bed. One of those antique pieces that seem to have seen too much. I showered, left my phone charging, closed the curtain. The ceiling light flickered at times. Old wiring, I thought. I was in that half-sleep when I felt thirsty. I got up, passed in front of the mirror, and stopped. My reflection blinked in fractions, half a second late. I did it again. I raised my right hand. It followed. Almost. The delay was minimal, but it was there. I laughed to myself. Tiredness. Fluorescent light flickering, an empty stomach making nonsense. I went back to bed. I took a while to fall asleep. When I finally dozed off, I woke to the sound of wood creaking and a low hum from the corridor, like an old transformer. I went to the bathroom, washed my face, and on the way back ran into the mirror again. I decided to play along. To prove to myself there was nothing, I raised my chin, touched 2 fingers to my own neck. The reflection repeated, late. Then I stopped completely. I froze my fingers in the air, and for a moment too short to be an accident, my reflection continued the movement as if finishing on its own. The 2 fingers touched his neck, while mine hovered. I felt an icy chill climb my spine. I stood still until my arm trembled from holding the position. It's the bulb, I murmured, like someone repeating a mantra. I grabbed the blanket from the bed and covered the entire mirror. I lay back down and left the TV on mute, just for light. I slept in fits. When I awoke, shy sunlight leaking through the curtain, the blanket had slid and half the mirror had reappeared. I came closer to adjust it and saw marks. Not on my side. Cans and cans of wax had left the glass spotless. The marks, 4, came from inside, like fingers pressing the opposite side, sliding down in thin parallel lines. It hurt my teeth. I pressed my ear to the glass on a stupid impulse. On the other side, nothing but a cold emptiness. I went down to the reception, determined to change rooms. I made something up, not looking much at the clerk's face. Noise in the corridor, and the bulb flickers. I didn't sleep. He barely blinked, tapped on the computer, handed me the key to 21, on the upper floor. That one doesn't have a big mirror, he said. Neutral, like someone offering a rehearsed relief. I went up quickly. Room 21 was smaller, with a little oval mirror above the sink, and that was it. I pushed the bed against the wall, shut everything, threw a towel over the oval. I thought about laughing at myself, but there was no laugh. I slept by day from exhaustion. Went back to the course like a zombie, answered roll call, avoided thinking. At night, I came back and decided that with the light on, my brain would settle. It didn't. The switched-off television gave me a glossy black in which the entire room fit, and when I passed in front of the screen, I saw my silhouette, late. It wasn't a perfect reflection. It was a shadow that preferred its own time. I unplugged the TV, turned the set to face the wall. I stayed with only the ceiling lamp, this one, thank God, steady. I pulled the towel over the oval, sat on the edge of the bed, and kept my eyes on the door, trying to keep the world simple. Wood, handle, key, floor. Then I saw, right under the door, the strip of corridor light break for a moment, as if someone had stopped there, outside. Seconds. No knock. When I crouched down, slowly, to look underneath, the shadow drew back. And there, on the wall, the turned TV reflected a darkness that was no longer surface. It was depth. I went back to reception with my backpack ready. I said I needed to leave, that there had been an emergency. The clerk looked for a second a little too long, then signed my checkout without question. Some guests prefer the rooms in the new annex, he commented, as if merely offering a better view. I thanked him and fled to a modern hotel across the avenue, everything white and tempered glass that feels like a laboratory. Nothing happened that last night of the course. I went home the next day and filed the experience in a drawer of my brain with the label exaggeration plus lack of sleep. It worked for a while, until, a month later, while brushing my teeth in the home bathroom, my mother knocked on the door wanting to talk about the street market. I said coming, with my mouth full of foam, and turned my face to the mirror by reflex. My coming came out synchronized on my side. In the glass, my lips moved half a second later. Since then, I have covered all the large mirrors in the apartment. I left only the one in the bathroom, small, and even so, I tested every night with a silly gesture. I raise my hand slowly, and when it gets halfway, I stop to see if someone in there finishes for me. If nothing happens, I breathe deeper. If the plumbing makes a hum, I switch off the light and wait it out. I've learned to live with the idea that sometimes the reflection isn't copying, it's rehearsing. That was Luan's account. If you listen this far, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll meet in the next Daily Nightmare.